everybody always has that brewery or that particular beer that they just haven't chalked off their list. And for me, it's this brewery here. I cannot believe, I'm embarrassed to say this is my first ever bottle of Rothaus. Rothaus. It's a Marzen. I know they've got the classic Pilsner, and they've got a whole bunch of other ones. They've become a bit like cult status. They're a bit iconic. Anyway, this one is up next. It's Rothaus Märzen. Let's get on it. Hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. I am Brendan, and this is a beer that I have been dying to try. It was gifted to me by a friend, La. Cheers for the bottle. And it's the first cap from Rothaus I've got. I don't think I've got one on my beer table, which is a bit of a shame because it's quite nice. Anyway, I'm going to keep it because we might even do another project with epoxy resin in the future. So that one would definitely make the cut. Let's pop that there. I've got this Krombacher Pilsner glass. It seems like it's, it feels like the right type of glass to have. I know it's a Marzen, but it's a lager, so any sort of stem sort of Pilsner type glass is going to be absolutely fine. Something to get let a little bit of the head to come up on this beer. I expect there should be a decent head on it. And there's a beautiful looking golden, bright, sunny, crystal clarity beer that I'm being presented with. It almost looks, in this glass, it almost looks like an oversized glass of champagne, the way the bubbles are just lifting up and you can see straight through the beer. The clarity is just insane. It's just burst away a couple of those there. That's fantastic to look at. I mean, the Germans just know how to brew. They are absolutely unstoppable in the world of brewing. Let's just turn the bottle around there. Before I take another sip out of this beer, I don't know what it is, but there's something about this bottle that I think it's just the style of the graphics with the bold sort of primary colors or something that just really makes me drawn to this bottle. Absolutely love it indeed. Let's have a little talk about this beer. Now, Marzen just means German for March. Marzen as a style is a really old traditional style. It was brewed centuries ago and basically sort of evolved out of the idea of pre-refrigeration, where there was no way of keeping the beer from spoiling in fermentation in the summer months. So they'd brew a whole bunch of beer, go crazy brewing in March, and lager it in caves and cellars at really cold temperatures. Let the summer pass and then go crazy brewing again at the end of September, beginning of October. There was an Oktoberfest, Marzen, Vienna, all these lagers, they're all Oktoberfesty type ideas. So Marzen is just a style that has usually has Munich malt in it, so it's got that kind of rich and aromatic sort of flavor profile on it. It should do anyway. And this particular beer has Tettnanger, however you say it, and it also has Mittelfrüh. It doesn't tell you which Mittelfrüh it is, but here's the thing. Before I even take a sip out of this beer, I want to read this just bit here. Where have I got it now? Tettnang, aroma hop. It's low alpha acid, so low alpha acids are perfect for aroma sort of style hopping. It's a noble hop. It's floral, it's fruity, it's herbal, it's spicy, it's fresh herbs, it's grass, it's dried flowers, it's bergamot, it's lily of the valley, it's cognac, and it's chocolate. So I want to see, can I get those 11 aromas / flavors out of this beer? I suspect not. I suspect that's a bit of indulgence on the part of the person that made the hop profile for this beer. But Tettnang, I mean, look at the You just take a look at the color of the beer, you know you're going to be able to get some sort of crispness going on in there. And that's even before I even take a sip. There's something else I wanted to say in here as well. Yeah, we are, of course, a Bavarian lager. Yeah, so obviously Munich, toasted malt, sort of light bread crust going on in there and a bit aromatic. Let's have a sniff and see what I get. Obviously, I'm getting the esters from the yeast, which is the very first thing that came into my head there as I put my nose to that beer was I got pear straight away. So I got that classic crisp yeast ester profile of a lager yeast. But I also got pear, and you get that from a lot of beers. After you've drunk a lot of ales and you switch over to a lager, you immediately get these sort of apple and pear sort of things going on in a specific type of lager. So this one is one of those kinds. So yeah, definitely getting some ester going on in there. I mean, pear isn't anything got to do with Tettnang. I keep looking to the side here, sorry. I've just got a little blackboard here with bits written up on the side of it. Yeah, fun fact, in 1553, the Bavarian Duke Albrecht IV decreed that it was forbidden to brew between April 23rd and September 29th in Germany. Imagine that. So that's why this Marzen came about. Rothaus is in the Black Forest. Let's get into this. I've talked enough. Cheers, Slancha. Prost, and let's go. Oh, the Germans. I curse the Germans. Their brewing is just amazing. I mean, that is good on so many levels. And the thing is, you can instantly separate this from macro type lagers, because there's a depth of character and flavour in here that, you know that it's going to need pulling apart a bit. Even so, I reckon in their Pilsner version. But let's have another go. There's a medium to medium, almost full mouthful. It's a richness going on. That's the Munich malt, 100% Munich, that is. There's a bit of a spicy edge and there's a bit of a floral edge coming through. Those are the initial impressions that I'm getting out of this beer. So what does it say on this bottle? 5.6%, so it's no small beer, by the way. Marzen and on Oktoberfest, they're in and around, a bit more than average sort of 4.3% beers. They're between 5, anything up to about 6.5, I would say, for like an Oktoberfest can be quite strong depending on who's brewing it. It's established the brewery in 1791. It's in the Black Forest. The water comes from the springs, 7 different springs in the Black Forest. The malt is malted just down the road in the Black Forest. The hops are from Tettnang and Mittelfrüh, which are hop grown regions, which are just by the Black Forest. And the yeast is a house strain. So I looked those bits up, but it just goes to show you, they absolutely have it down. You cannot fault the Germans on their brewing. They're just absolutely 100% know what they're doing, and they've kept their traditions for hundreds of years. I mean, this is 1791. That's probably quite a young brewery in Germany. Let's have another go. There's a nice finish to the beer. In terms of what the hop does, it gives you a nice sort of spritz and sort of how do I explain that? The hop gives you a bit of a fruity, floral sort of citrus zing to it, but it falls off, and then what you're left with is a bit of the sweetness from the malt in the beer. So that's a really, really nice thing, because you're getting a cut away from the hops, and then what carries on is the sweetness from the beer, but it's not in any way overly sweet or overly honey. There's a certain aspect of honey on here, and there's a huge amount of breadiness going on in here. But do I get any of those aromas and flavors now? Like the floral one is a no-brainer. There's definitely some kind of plant-like flower, you know, sort of, yeah, it's almost like you're smelling a flower, but fairly faint, you know, not a rose type thing. It's just very bright and slightly perfumey. Let me give that a spin. I mean, what do they say? Bergamot and lily of the valley. Cognac? Cognac and chocolate? I mean, that's a stretch. That's a real stretch. Dry flowers I go with. Grass, yeah, herbs, spicy, herbal, fruity, floral. Go with all of that with Tettnang. Now, Mittelfrüh is obviously some of that as well. So, chocolate, I don't think so. I think they're stretching there. Yeah, that's all the facts that I've got on it, except this girl here is the beer git, which is the beer girl. And there's one other thing. She's the icon on the brand. Another obscure fact from this brewery. They stake the claim to be Germany's highest altitude brewery in the country, so they're 1,000 meters above sea level. Now, I don't know what that does for the beer. Might change a bit of the fermentation profile. I have no idea. The beer is sweet, it is malty, it is rich, but that sweetness never goes to the edge where it's cloying. It's very similar to a lot of German beers where there are a lot of lagers, but they have a malty complexion in them, which usually stems somewhere between biscuity, rich, aromatic, bready, bit toasty, a bit doughy. But it sort of like is a dimension to the malt. Whereas, you know, if you go across to America, you're looking at very, very basic, plain tasting malted beers, but masses of hops. So it's kind of like the polar opposite to what you know, all these IPAs that you'd be drinking or whatever. It's all about the malt and the hops complementing the malt and a bit of yeast character coming through as well. I mean, it's so deceptive looking. This looks so plain to look at, but the flavor coming from it is absolutely fantastic. Oh man, I could sit there ages. There's definitely like a flower, like a very delicate perfume going on in there. I'm guessing that's the Tettnang now. Anyway, my view on this brew, to wrap this up, is it's absolutely fantastic. That's the first Rothaus beer I've had. It will not be the last, because that is fantastic and I absolutely love it. Yeah, cheers, sláinte, prost, and it's on to the next one. Bye bye.